Hey everybody, it's hydrangea season, and one of our best advertisements this time of year has to be our avenue of hydrangeas along the driveway. I wanted to give you some tips that we use to keep this area looking great all season long, and how we're able to keep these hydrangeas here without actually planting them in the ground. A couple little secrets for you. So keep watching, and I'll also make sure and give you a little tour of what we have out here. It's only a sampling of what we have, but there are some amazing varieties of hydrangeas, and they are looking really beautiful right now. So I'm looking forward to showing you that. So each of these hydrangeas is planted in a grow bag like this black one down here. Most of them are in 10-gallon grow bags, but they come in larger sizes as well. So you could do them in a 15 or 20-gallon grow bag, and you plant them just like you would in the ground, but you're able to put them in places that you might not normally be able to. So for example, if you have an area that's heavily wooded, or roots are really bad and you can't dig a hole, or you don't want to really commit to a spot, you can use a grow bag. A lot of times you can also mulch around it, mound it up around it so that you don't actually see the grow bag. You could use either regular mulch or wood chips or any kind of thing that's going to cover up that bag. So this is a Limelight Hydrangea, and you can see they get pretty much their full size in there. The bigger your grow bag, the better, but sometimes it's just easier to manage if you have more of the 10-gallon size. So it's a really good solution for people who maybe are non-committal or have difficult areas, or they just want to test a plant to see if the light's going to be right for that particular hydrangea or other plant. So the hydrangeas planted in the grow bags don't get any special care compared to the ones we plant in the ground, but we follow a couple of rules. So we make sure they get consistent moisture. So these are on a drip line, so that means we know that every day they're getting consistent water. This time of year we're giving about 40 minutes in the morning. Every once in a while we'll give them another dose in the afternoon, but for the most part in the springtime we don't worry too much. Once they start to leaf out, that's when we really start thinking about watering them, because otherwise the natural water in the springtime tends to be just fine. The other thing we do is in May and usually in June, when there's some new growth, we do give them a dose of plant Skydd to repel the deer. That prevents the deer from taking their little nibbles off of it. We found that to be very, very effective. And the other thing we always have to do is make sure that we're using things like Sluggo, so that we don't have to worry about those slugs eating the leaves, because they will eat right through that. Earwigs are another little issue, so sometimes we have to use Sluggo Plus or sometimes an insecticide, although we've been pretty lucky with our hydrangeas. They tend to take good care of themselves on that front. And then the other thing is we make sure and we give them our hydrangea food. So every beginning of May, June, July, and sometimes in August, we give them about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more for some of these bigger plants, of hydrangea food. It's a mix of time release and top coat, and that gives them the nutrients they need to produce really big, beautiful flowers. So I think that's kind of our main secrets. We also sometimes have to do a little trimming around the bottom, or any kind of stems that maybe don't look quite right just for shape. In the fall, when the plant kind of is completely dormant, we will trim them down just for shape. In the grow bags, if you're using a small grow bag, it's probably a better idea to keep it more trimmed and tighter. If you're using a big grow bag, you don't have to worry too much about that. You can let it get to whichever size you prefer. So I think that's kind of our basics. So hydrangeas are very easy, very reliable in our area. So I would recommend you give it a try. Now I'm going to show you some of the varieties. I hope I can remember all the names. Some of them, the tags are a little bit hard to find, but I'll start right here at the end and I'll just work my way down. So this one right here is the Moonrock. It's got those nice tight white blossoms. We haven't seen if it blushes yet or not. It's a brand new one for us this year, but absolutely beautiful panicle flowers on that. Great shape. The ones in the greenhouse are actually much narrower than the ones that are outside. So I'm not sure if that's a trademark of the greenhouse, or if they prefer one way or the other. Behind it, it doesn't have a tag, but I'm pretty sure it's a strawberry sundae. That's one that gets that nice raspberry color, a little bit darker than some of the other hydrangeas. Sorry, there's some trucks going by. This one over here, or these three actually, are the quick fires, and you can see they have a little bit more of that different flower shape. I would like to call it a little bit of a sparkler one. A lot of times they're called a lace cap type one, or lacy. And you can see there's a lot of new buds coming off on that one. That's one that we planted out this year, I think, so you can see how much they've grown just in one season. Down here we have the Limelight Prime. This is like the traditional Limelight, which is really popular, but you can see it's a lot more compact. It does blush just like the Limelight, so you can see some of them are starting to. So we have some that are blushing, a little more mature ones right over there, and then we have some that are still white, and then we have new buds still coming up. So this one's going to be having flowers for a really long stretch here, so that's really great to see. This is probably another quick fire over here. So you can see, actually no, this isn't quickfire at all. This is Diamond Rouge. One thing about Diamond Rouge, I can't believe I almost messed that one up, is these huge flowers. Look at the size of the blossoms on there and the flower heads, absolutely huge. And again, you're getting some that are still white, some that have blushed, absolutely beautiful. And it's, just a little bit more dramatic and larger than a lot of the other varieties. Over here we have the Zinfandel, and I have to confess, the Zinfandel is probably my favorite. It has these beautiful petals, really, really dense petal coverage on there, and it does blush to a really beautiful, bright kind of raspberry pink. And again, we've got kind of the ones that are starting to blush, and then we have the ones that are white, and then we still have new blossoms coming out. So that's one of the advantages with the hydrangeas, is that they just keep blooming and blooming and blooming. And over here, these are beauties. These sold today. These are Pinky Winkies, and Pinky Winky has kind of that lace cap or sparkler type of thing, but then look at it, it's got that nice pink color, then it's white here, and it still has more blossoms that are coming, so those panicles get very, very long. It's an absolute stunner. Probably, I think Stacy says this is her favorite, so we all have kind of our little biases when it comes to these plants. Now if we get to over here, this is a quick fire fab. So this is a lot like the Limelight, except it's changes color a little earlier than the Limelight. And look at the coverage on those. It's completely flower covered. You can't beat that. I mean, I don't think you could fit any more flowers on it. So that's really a beautiful one. I think we have some little limes over here. So some of these, I think, are the ones that we didn't have all of our flowers for. This one's a quick fire fab. That one, look, it's just starting to blush, and lots of new blossoms on that. So love that. Here's some more little limes right here. Look at the white. They're just really full and looking fantastic. Over here, this is a new one for us. This is the Candelabra. So you're getting a look at what that one looks like. You can see has a little bit of that lacy sparkler type of flower head, and then it just starts turning that beautiful mauve color. And again, we've got ones that are spent blossoms and new blossoms coming on it. That's one of the best things about hydrangeas, is that they're just so good about that kind of thing. They just keep sending up new stuff. Now, these here, I'm trying to remember, these are polar balls, I think. Yeah, polar balls or polar bear, same variety. These are giants, so these can get like up to 8 feet tall. They have giant flowers, giant flower heads, real kind of beasts in the garden. And then when we come down here, I think we have some Diamond Rouge, and then we also have, I think, some Bobos. This is kind of a mixed bag over here. These here are Firelights. Oh, I think that big one there is a Mega Mindy. Yeah, this one's Mega Mindy. This one is one that they don't make anymore. So this is probably the last one you'd be able to get your hands on. They've kind of changed to some other varieties. And then once we get past Mega Mindy, then we're in the Firelights. So you can see these actually do have almost a campfire feel to them, because they kind of almost glow with that mauve and then a little bit of a creamy white after it. Gotta love it. And then the Bobos. This is one of those shorter varieties, so it doesn't get much taller than what you see here, and they're always covered with flowers, so we're always thrilled with this one, and it keeps sending up flowers. Flowers last a really nice long time on the Bobos, and again, you can't beat it because it's a short one, stays under the window, doesn't bother anybody, so we love that. And then over here, more Limelights. This is our giant limelight. This one is actually a couple years old. It's been in that grow bag. So you can see we've overwintered these. We do nothing with these over the winter. They stay in the grow bag in that spot. So that's another advantage, is you don't have to move them. You don't have to put them in the garage or anything like that. They're going to do just fine. And these here are a couple more quick fires for you. And then over here are the quick fire fabs. So totally different flower type on the two different types of quick fire. So just so people know, both of them tend to bloom early and turn red early, but this one has the tight panicle, whereas this type here has a little bit more of that lace cap finish on them. So very different flowers on the quick fire versus quick fire fab. And then over here, this one over here, this is Pillowtalk. This is another one that I don't think they're really selling anymore. They've kind of replaced it with some of the other varieties. But again, it's a lot like the Zinfandel with those tight flowers on it, and then they do start to blush over time. So absolute beauties. Over here, now this is a new one. It's pretty small because this was a tiny plant when we put it in, but this one here is the Let's Stats Can Do. So it's a little bit of a hybrid version where it's a combination of more of a mountain type hydrangea, which usually don't do well here, as well as some of the varieties that do well, like the Macophilia, I think it is, the endless summer varieties. So you can see the flowers on this one are huge. So this spent flower is gargantuan, and these are all kind of getting up to that, and it keeps sending up blooms. So we're really excited about this one. I'm really curious to see what it's going to look like next year when it has a chance to kind of grow a little bit more. And this one here is a mini mauvette. So this one stays pretty small. This is an arborescent one. Now I have to tell you a little something. But I'm going to get to that in just a second. I'm going to finish showing you these. This is the Summer Crush, and then these here are some more quick fires, and I think those are little limes, so those are kind of the smaller version. Here's the confession I'm going to make. So about an hour ago, the 3 hydrangeas behind me did not look as good as they look right now, and that's because I had a different variety in here. These here are the paniculata or panicle or cone-shaped varieties, and those tend to do really, really well in the grow bags. In fact, we've had almost 100% success rate with those, so they're kind of no-brainers. Those are the ones I would recommend. With the other variety, which we had the arborescent variety, which are more of your Annabelles and your Incredibles, those varieties, 50-50 we've had with those, and I'm not sure if it has to do with their root type, because these varieties tend to stay more shrub-like and keep their shape, whereas the other varieties tend to spread a little bit and grow more like a bush that kind of keeps expanding. So maybe it has to do with that. I'm just theorizing there. So that's a possibility. Otherwise, the other varieties like the endless summer, the big leaf ones, the Macophilia, I think, or Macophila, I'm not sure, can't remember how to say it. Those kind, the ones that are blue or pink, those we have more of a 75% success rate, but that's the case with those also in the ground. We find around here they're a little bit more temperamental. Sometimes they like specific types of light. Sometimes they don't like certain conditions. They just sometimes misbehave. So if you want the sure thing, go with the paniculata. We have probably, I can't remember if it's 20 varieties in that. Those are the ones that start out white, they turn pink, they're beautiful, they're easy, and you can get them from, say, just under 3 feet tall up to, say, 6 or 7 feet tall. So you can get really big ones, kind of more modest sized ones, lots of options with that. So hey, come on down, check out the avenue of hydrangeas. I love to share that with people. It does have a little bit of a wow factor when you come up, and then when you go inside and you see how many different types we have, including the hydrangea trees. We have not only the ones that are here in front, but there's a whole greenhouse with a whole bunch of hydrangea trees in the back, which people just love walking through there too. So check out the hydrangeas, because now is the time to see them and start imagining what they might look like in your yard and where you might be able to put them. So we'll see you very soon, and thanks for watching, everybody.